Now let's move on to hint number 10. It says that if the game is not ended, ask the user if they want to draw another card. If yes, then use the deal card function to add another card to the user's card list. If no, then the game has again ended. Over here, in the if statement, we can add an else, because if the game hasn't ended, as in they haven't gone over 21 or nobody's got a blackjack, then we're going to ask the user if they want to get another card. I'm going to use a input, and I'm going to ask the user to type Y to get another card, otherwise type N to pass. And I'm going to save this input inside a variable, which I'll call user should deal. Now we can check to see if this variable is equal to Y. Well, in that case, we're going to add another card to the user's card list by doing the same thing that we did in the beginning, where we dealt 2 cards to each player, by saying usercards.append, and inside the parentheses, the thing that we want to append is the output from deal card. So just a quick check to make sure you've got all the parentheses there, and then we're ready to address the else. If they didn't type Y, then that means they don't want another card. Well, then in this case, the game has again ended. So we can say is game over equals true. Let's test this out as well. We got 7 and 11 with a current score of 18. If we type Y, hopefully we'll get another card. And we did see that prompt and we saw something happen, but our program then promptly ended. Let's take a look at the next step. How can we get our game to repeat itself? So hint number 11 tells us that the score will need to be rechecked with every new card drawn, and the checks in hint 9 need to be repeated until the game ends. Notice how we've got this flag, is game over, which is set to true whenever the game ends. It starts off being false, and what this means is we can actually create a while loop, which basically keeps on calculating the user's score and the computer score, makes all of these checks, which are in hint 9, and then repeats itself until the game ends. Let's go ahead and do that. After all the initial setup, we're going to create a while loop. And the while loop is going to be active until the game is over. So we can say while not is game over, then go ahead and carry out all of these instructions. So calculate the user score, calculate the computer score, check that nobody's gone over 21 and nobody's gotten a blackjack. And if the user wants more cards, then they should. If they don't, then the game is over. So let's run this and try it again. Our cards are 10 and 10, which probably means we shouldn't get another card because we're already so close to 21. But I'm going to be daring and press Y anyways. And it tells us that our cards are now 10, 10 plus 2. So we got an extra card, and that takes us our score to 22. That worked perfectly. So now let's go back and tackle the next part. Hint number 12 says once the user is done, it's time to let the computer play. The computer should keep drawing cards as long as it has a score less than 17. So the while loop is responsible for dealing with when the user wants to keep drawing cards. But once that's done, then we can tackle hint number 12, which is how does the computer actually play? What is its strategy? Well, we know that the computer has to keep drawing cards as long as it has a score of less than 17. But of course, 0, which represents a blackjack, is also less than 17, but we don't want it to draw a card if it has a blackjack. We can represent this logic using a while loop. While the computer score is not equal to 0 and the computer score is less than 17, then in this case, we want to keep drawing cards. We're going to take the computer's cards and we're going to use the append to add a card by dealing another card to the computer. And then we're going to recalculate the computer score so that it updates, and this while loop is evaluated on the latest score. So the computer score is going to equal calculate score using the computer's cards. And that means that the updated computer score is equal to the return value from calculate score. So that's hint 12 complete. In the next step, we're going to start comparing our player's hand with the dealer's hand. See you in the next lesson.